Tusum Sangye Tam Jeje Ngo Ridang Jinguru Jatsue Shabda Karting Somba Mebe Dersen Panten Lama Tambe Shabje Do Chima Meba Langu Rabdo Dode Gosum Kuba Jambe Cha Sashin Japso Chewo Chewa Ne Tsera Tamje Do Tawar Meba Jeso Zondo Song Nyen Tui Shiwa So Nam Kunshi Nyi Jing Nyi Shir Chen Zai Kang Yin Dang Drola Pempura Shanang Nam Shi Nyi Jing Jiden Tun Zhul Zai Ba Kangdang Yangda Denbe Tona Namba Gunden Hanson De Songba Yen Tui Changchub Sempé Soche Sangye Nyenpa Yumde La Chang Balden Dorje Shangwa Rikun Shabda Lama Karma Ba Jingkuru Gunjin June Seshi Bajuru Yidam Nanjurama Chile Gunji Chebo Wanjur Chuchung Prajin Jamdre La Nanjur Tseji Kuben Dudon Rame Tuji Chongwan Chukdu Jagun Wo Be Manjung Donga Songchu Denba Bewe Chinzi Weze Jave Nyugo So Techo Denbe Jansen So Wan Yuen Sangye Kundan Nyamna Yang Karting Sangye Lejang Hawaii Zawe Lame Shabla Chase Ne Dason Rowe Lamna Chue La Zhong. Okay. Now, yeah, good that I forgot something. Anyway, most important part is still not forgot, so which is bodhicitta. Yeah, I would like to remind you to generate bodhicitta in order to help all the sentient beings and generate seriously. So this is going to be very meaningful, our gatheration in this prayer hall. Okay, now I'm going to read again as I do usually. Maybe there are some newcomers or new faces, although I don't see new faces there. My eyesight not so good. But anyway, I'm going to read again. Jagarkedo Bodhisattvamaņyāvalī Bökedo Sangye Sempé norbü Tengwa Tuji Chambola Chachalo Lamanamla Chachalo Tibetan Chachalo Tesum Tamje Pangchashin Drubwang Nending Jeso Cha Nimu Lelo Rapangshin Dato Zunrun Beber Cha Tendang Sheshin Payube Wangbe Guanam Kundu Song Ninsen Dusum Yangdang Yang Simji Yula Dabra Cha Dagi Nyenpa Rinpoche Sangye Chuba Zalmija Dagi Yunden Bachashin Sangye Yunden Dabarcha Nyedang Kuti Pangchashin Keda Dado Pangwarcha Deba Chungshin Choshedang Chela Tinto Sowarcha. Very beautiful. Now, when you reflect to these teachings, when you read, seems very easy, but apply very difficult. Yeah, it's a rather difficult, much more difficult than the emptiness or the practice like a Mahamudra, Mahāti, because this is a direct teaching. Watch your mind. Okay, watch my mind. But in order to reach that level, we need all these the ground practices like these. As I said yesterday, Shantideva's teaching in the Bodhisattvamaņyāvalī, that without guarding your minds or your faculties, there is no way to achieve the realization of the Bodhisattva. And I'm going to read a few verses from the Shantideva Bodhisattvamaņyāvalī, which is very helpful and also very much related to this teaching. Tete dagi semdine leksung lekbar sungmarcha semsung tushu matoba tushu mambu jishicha. I shall hold and guard my mind well. Without the discipline of guarding our own mind, what use are many other disciplines? And giving example, like we are very particular with our retreat practice, and we are very strict on the practice, like sessions per day, like you do 2 sessions in the morning, 2 sessions in the evening, and you try to make more sessions But yeah, you are very diligent with the sessions and practices, but at the same time, here we don't pay much attention to training our mind, the guarding our mind. And the session that is you do inside the room is very comfortable, but when you walk outside, there are many things around you which you fail to walk with them. And keep these afflictive emotion attacks you. But you don't mind that time. But when you get into the room, then you are very particular with the sessions. I must do this, I must recite 100 times, I must pray this and that. You are very particular with the sessions, but you are not particular with guarding your mind. So in balance, therefore, how much you put effort into the sessions and the retreat practices, but there's not much achievement, and you are having same problem, and you are in the circle of same problem. Never get rid of, because you fail to guarding your mind, you fail to train your mind, and you fail to apply them within the mind. Therefore, what important part practice is, you must choose the right practice. Therefore, to those great Mahasiddhas in India and those great masters in Kadampa, they consider best retreat practice is to deal and walk with your own emotion, and walk with the thought, and walk with your mind, rather than body and the verbal. And for us, our mind is very fragile and very sensitive. And I don't know how to use a proper way in English, but there are many words in Tibetan, but no use for you now. I say this, all these Tibetan words. But not only the words are important, but what I'm trying to tell is the great test. Walk outside and see something, and then you examine your mental attitude. But we fail to apply the method that moment, and you lost, right? Giving example, like we always say, bodhicitta, compassion, loving kindness is so important. We must practice this because the masters say this is very important. I myself also know this bodhicitta is very important. Be tolerant, be patient, don't react. But somebody say a few words to you, and then you lost your control, and you get angry. If somebody is next to you, say that, calm down, bodhicitta, and you get more angry. Yes, you are already angry, and then you turn to this person and you get more angry towards him. Say that, shut up. Yeah? So the practice is for what? And you have been practiced quite a long time and failed to apply that moment, and somebody remind you that moment and also failed to apply the bodhicitta, and you get more angry towards him. So this is our weakest point in the practice. Seems everything okay, good weather, good food, comfortable room, I'm not sick, mentally relaxed, I do practice. But some difficult situation come to you, if you cannot apply that moment, then the practice for what? That's why Kadampa says the great test should apply. That's why when we practice, there are 3 trainings, Tibetan called lapasum. So the first lapa, or first training, is the training of the morality. Second is the training of the concentrative meditation. Then the last one is the training of the wisdom. So therefore, why the first is the training of the morality? So the teachings like here, like guarding our faculties, the guarding our mind, apply mindfulness, apply
the alertness, all these are considered as a practice of the training of the morality. So if you are unable to the firmly rooted, so-called the training of the morality, there is no other way to give arise all the rest of the practices. The concentrated meditation, wisdom, bodhicitta, compassion, loving kindness come from the training of the morality. So therefore, it is very sensible, because if one cannot protect yourself, if one cannot train your mind or apply the mindfulness, and how could you be able to make yourself a good practitioner of like a Bodhisattva or the Vajrayana practitioner? There is no way the other noble qualities be arising. So therefore, the consideration for the practice, important practice, is the training of the morality. Okay. Anyway, so now we continue, because I thought maybe briefly introduce you how important these things. So that's why I had to brief you. Otherwise, some of you may feel quite strange, because what are they talking about? Like hide my quality, you don't search others' fault, and look your mind, and abandon all these profit gains. So it doesn't make much sense. But all that is a training for the guiding our mind and the training your mind. The best meditation is the meditation of the loving kindness and the compassion. Loving kindness and the compassion is not something that need to be understood intellectually, but it rather need to apply experientially. That one should be very compassionate, the person who need to develop or make a full of compassion and loving kindness in their heart. So if you are able to make it, then we call this as a bodhisattva. When you say the bodhisattva is the person who applies these practices, one make it mingle, inseparable, yourself and these two practices. And the concept of the compassion and the loving kindness is, if you refers to the sense of like feeling closeness to someone, or could be meant a sense of like feeling of a pity, then that's wrong. Because many of us mistake with that kind of emotion, like feeling closeness towards my close friends, my relatives, those people who I know very well and who already make a connection. So you feel very close, and the feeling of closeness towards these beings. Or maybe sometimes you see some the difficult situation with certain people, then you feel like a pity. Oh, it's pity. Oh, pity. So like that. So that is not the entire concept of the compassion and loving kindness. The loving kindness, the concept of the loving kindness and the compassion means like someone really responsible fully to take care of all sentient beings, avoiding the partiality, your friends, strangers, or enemy, sorry, enemy. So whatsoever. So to avoid these, but the partiality, and also cut the longing yourself for yourself, and cut the tie for the welfare of yourself. But it's completely, you are giving up everything for the benefit of sentient beings. So that kind of a genuine feeling, that's something very beautiful and a very sweet and a very comfortable feeling arises, and whatever you do, physically, verbally, mentally, all are for others. So that's sort of the unfabricated or uncontaminated, the feeling, that kind of responsibility is we consider as a Buddha, the compassion or the concept of the compassion and the loving kindness. And Langri Thangpa, Langri Thangpa is the very great Kadampa master. And in his teaching he says that the individual, when he or she experiences the pain and the suffering, and at the same time, if you naturally feel for others because of your pain and your experience of the pain and the suffering, at the same time you feel very compassionate, oh, this is nothing, but others, the number-wise, too many. So what happens, because like this kind of a pain and the suffering, I am lost to my patience because I cannot tolerate this pain and suffering. But what happens to those all sentient beings having same situation and the pain and the suffering? So the finding out the method to solve your own problem, but rather you apply like more bodhicitta towards all sentient beings because of your own experience of the pain and the suffering, and you more care for others than the pain and the suffering. That kind of a natural, the feeling of the genuine compassion arise, then the Langri Thangpa says this is the genuine bodhicitta and the genuine bodhisattva. And therefore, when you practice like compassion and the loving kindness, and you can develop the sense of like, I am looking for the omniscient state of Buddhahood. In order to achieve the omniscient state of Buddhahood, one should cultivate bodhicitta. That without bodhicitta, without compassion, without the loving kindness, then there is no way to be achieved the omniscient state of Buddhahood. In order to cultivate this compassion, loving kindness, bodhicitta, one needs to depend on others. Without sentient beings, there is no way, as I said yesterday, there is no way to cultivate or to generate all the noble qualities. So all depend on sentient beings. And so therefore, Bodhisattva Avatara, Shantideva says, to achieve the enlightenment, the kindness-wise equal between the Buddha and the sentient beings. Without the Buddha, there is no teaching. No teaching, we cannot apply the Buddha Dharma. Therefore, no enlightenment, right? So, without the sentient beings, there is no way to develop the qualities. And if you are unable to develop the noble qualities, there is no enlightenment. So the Shantideva precisely said, in order to achieve the enlightenment, there is totally equal, the equality of the kindness of the Buddha and the sentient beings. Yeah, so therefore, the loving affection or the compassionate affection is very important. Like a child, when mother holds the child cries, and then your physical, the gentle touching is very important to calm her or he down, isn't it? Yes, and so this means we need someone's care, and someone's like the love and someone's compassion. If you are in the circle of compassion and love and kindness, and these individuals are naturally being so calm and peaceful. If the father and the mother always argue, fighting, then the kids look at you, and the later part, they themselves also become like your father and mother, who is really so full of anger and full of like the agitations. And the affection is very bad. There is effect. If the father and the mother are so peaceful, gentle, loving each other, very caring, then the child grow up become the same. oh, my father was so kind, my mother was so kind, they really take care of me. So the compassion, loving is so important. They naturally can be sensed that. But if father and mother always are fighting and argue each other, make noise from the morning and up to evening, so whole day make noise, and the kids later, when they grow up, and the same thing, say that, oh, my dad also do like that, so my mother also do like that. So the negative effectiveness is there. So therefore, the compassion, the loving kindness is not only for the purpose of become a bodhisattva as well, but for our mundane world and the mundane life, also very important to bring everything into the peace and the calm and the harmony. Calmness and harmony. Therefore, Chamdan Hinji Gomjashin Shangju Semne Temperature. Temperature means the firmly rooted, not simply arise is not enough, not sufficient, and the need to firmly be rooted, make stabilize. Otherwise, there is a lot of obstacles, so that your bodhicitta will not be stabilized. So this is also talking about the morality, training of the morality. So one should avoid the 10 non-virtues that everybody knows. And then at the same time, tadu tepa temperature. So make firmly rooted the devotion and the faith. So the non-virtuous action, so action that leads you to the suffering and the pain. So therefore, the teachings of the guarding our minds is needed. Therefore, when we call non-virtuous, Tibetan words mi, ge. Ge means virtues, mi means the negation, means the non-virtuous. If you engage in non-virtuous action of the body, speech, mind, whatsoever, so this will definitely lead you to the experience of the suffering and the pain. Therefore, this is a kind of a training of the morality, which if you apply these, helps you to protect and to guard your mind that the engaging in these non-virtues. So if you do that, so that as a result from there, you will have the space or the available to arise or to develop all the rest of the qualities. Tadu tepa temperature. Tepa simply means like trust. The trust that which is right and which is wrong, you have to have a trust. The trust that associates with the wisdom. Without wisdom, the trust alone would not be workable. That will not lead you to that realization. But the trust that is associated with the wisdom, then you realize, yes, it is true that I need to adopt this the right thing. I must abandon this is a wrong thing, because you know the reason why I need to be adopted and the reason why I need to abandon the things, these two different notions, realizing the truth and their essence. So that is we call tepa. Does not mean only like tepa means like devotion only, but the tepa is rather trust or realization. The realization that associate along with the wisdom that makes you comfortable. When you do practice, everything you do that willingly, and the interesting with the interest, and with the willingly, with the joyfully, you do practice, so that gives you the result from the practice. Chodang ngajal shomja sing, membe semdang tembarcha. Chodang means anger or arrogance. Ngajal means pride, need to vanquish or abandon. Because anger is the destroyer of our ultimate peace of the mind. Anger is the destroyer of the ultimate, the enlightenment. So therefore, in the Bodhisattva practice, in Mahayana practice, the prime enemy is the anger. Whole teaching of the Kadampa and the Bodhisattva Avatara is working with the anger. First, recognition. We cannot vanquish directly this power of anger, but by recognition of the anger, that helps us to reduce or subdue the power of the anger. Next, apply the application. Then we walk with the anger. We cannot combat or suppress the anger, but rather bring anger as a friend and realize the essence of the anger, then eventually or gradually bring the anger as a practice. Then it comes transformation, the transformation of your emotion with you. So these are all so-called the systematic practice, the way of applying to those practices. So therefore, tro is the arrogance. Therefore, in the teachings of like Mahamudra, Mahāti as well, the general teachings from there are general and extraordinary teachings that goes along with your the development of your practice. But when they generalize, they tell us, when those powerful emotional forces arise, apply mindfulness. And make sure that you identify when it arises or when it attacks you. That means we still not fully developed our ability or capability to combat these emotional forces directly. No, because this is not a time for us to do like that, but time for us to pay more attention. If your mind is always being mindful, then the chances to these powerful emotional forces get less and less to arise in your mind. So therefore, our first step is being mindful. When the certain like unfavorable object, when you meet, then there is some sense of feeling of anger or whatsoever arises, then you should tell yourself, this is a time for me to be careful. So if you lost your control that moment, then no matter how many application you may apply, but never walk. Never walk. Today fell, tomorrow fell, after tomorrow fell. So the great test set up from the Kadampa masters, great test means that when these kind of certain circumstances come to you, then you should apply carefully, cautiously, alertly, mindfully. Then slowly you can skillfully be able to walk with the powerful emotional forces to bring them down. So attention, we always call attention, right? And also the masters, when they perform teachings, they say, listen to me attentively. Listen to me attentively. Listen to me attentively means they sense that you are really not listening attentively. And so otherwise they don't need to use this attentively. So this word is very powerful. Yes. Because you see, our mind is being so spoiled and very diluted by those so-called negative emotions, and working with these things. When you read the books and when you read the teachings, when you read these texts, they're very easy. Okay, I abandoned anger, I abandoned the pride. But the problem is when you apply it within you, then difficult, very difficult. So therefore, attention means we, as I said, the starting point is very important. In our practice, we always need to be so attentive and so cautious with each and every our attitude, the physical attitude, verbal attitude, mental attitude. So that is something to do with when you go out. So talking about the meditation and the post-meditation, among two of these, the post-meditation is more severe. During the meditation, as I always said, it's very simple, it's very easy and very, very comfortable, right? Somebody fall down? I'm sure he or she is okay. All right? Okay? Okay. Maybe attention is there. So attentively we have heard something. So therefore attention is the kind of, as I said, guarding our mind. Guarding our mind. So we need it. We can't really directly walk with our emotion, anger, pride. Difficult, but rather attention. Pay attention, be very attentive, and it helps us to walk with them. Then the same case to the pride, similar. So all are same characteristic. The differentiation between is to, arrogance come from others. Because of others, then I arise the control. But ngajal, the pride arises for my own, like certain practice or certain, like the profit or certain quality. Because of this, then the pride arises. And the point here is, why do we need to work with these, the powerful emotional forces? Because we tend to do practices like visualization, the recitation mantras, as well as we do sometimes like long retreat or short retreat, whatsoever. We tend to do more practices. Why? You need to know the reason why you are doing a retreat. And the reason you must know why you are doing a practice. And the reason you must know why you follow the instructions very strictly. Because I'm quite sure this is something that you are looking for, gaining some good experience from your practice, right? But at the same time, if you do not work with these kind of emotional forces, then how much time you spend with your practice, but there is a very slim chance to gain experience from your practice, because the most prime obstacles and the hindrances are here, and we do not work with them. Pride is there, anger is there, all the negative emotions are there. So because of these, that disturb us to develop these practices. These negative emotion disturbs us to progress our practices. These negative emotion disturbs us to gain a good experience from the practice. And these disturbs us to achieve the good practices. So therefore, you see, the negative is here, but here you spend too much time, but this you ignore here. You totally ignore, right? So if you don't work with this and you solely and totally spend your time with the practice, it's almost useless, to be honest with you. And to avoid entertain you. If you really seriously relying on the teachings of these Kadampas or the great masters, I have to be very straightforward. So if you do not work with this, really, how much spend your time for retreat under 3 years or 6 years or 9 years? So you must know what is the weakness in your practice, what is the false and the mystic and the faulties, because of these powerful are still with you, you are still enjoying with them. Yeah? So therefore, the achievement, the success are not there. Remember, Simdang Denpa Cha means keep low profile. That is also this very specialist, the practice in the Kadampa. They always instruct to the practitioners, keep low profile, but strengthen the power of your practice and do more or develop your practice. But at the same time, keep low profile. If you don't keep low profile, there will be a lot of misunderstanding and a mishandling with your practice, and this leads your pride up again. Oh, I'm a great master. I'm a great meditator. So instead of a practice helping bring down your emotion, but it increase. Instead of declining the negativities, it incline the pride and what called the anger, or all sort of. So therefore, keep low profile when you do practice, but walk with these very high speed. You can gear up as much as you can, but keeping low profile is a very important practice. Also in Vinaya, yes. But you must not make mistake with sometimes, like you may sense this is a kind of like inferior attitude. So that, oh, I don't know anything, oh, I'm hopeless, and I not like that. Of course, you can be proud with what you have knowledge, but this kind of practice need to keep low profile, because we are not really reached the level of where the mind is fully stabilized. So until you stabilize your mind under your practice, there are a lot of obstacles. So therefore, the instruction of keeping low profile is really needed. That is the only reason why they say they keep low profile, but must not make mistaken with the inferior attitude, that something that I always look down myself, or I don't know anything, I have nothing, I'm hopeless. So don't mistake with that kind of attitude or sense. This instruction is, I think, is most probably for the retreatants, the person who is doing a retreat and giving up completely this mundane world life and become very strictly and genuinely retreatants. So then this teaching is the fits and the suits to these practitioners. And because it often can be happened, like these kind of retreatants, the practitioners, like misusing the Dharma, and like the non-virtue, the lifestyle, or sustaining their life with the non-virtuous action, like lying or misbehaving or teaching or misusing the Dharma. So this way, like you earn like the profit, and you're getting like the respect or the offerings like this. So this is kind of contradict to the practice or to the practitioners who are supposed to be good practitioners of the retreatants. Therefore, of course, as a follower of the Buddha, particularly like those so-called monks, and who always need to beg, the begging. So therefore, they bring the big begging bowl. So can contain a lot of offerings. So begging is the allowance from the Buddha. It's not something illegal activity. So this is the legal activities in the Vinaya practice. So they do that. So if you do that, at the same time you do use these offerings in a proper way. And then you do really practice, like doing dedications towards them, and you do Dhamma practice really seriously and accordingly, so that you can digest the offerings. So therefore, the sustaining the life of the practice with the good attitude. Otherwise, you are going to be like a lot of the fabricated, your mind, the mental fabrication is not good. It's not going to benefit others, and then misusing the objects, which causes also another problem and another pain and suffering. So therefore, in order to avoid this, to live the livelihood with the proper attitude, that you use properly everything that you receive from others. And what makes if you misuse the offerings, because this will also disturb your practice. And this will lead you to the wrong direction also, and this will disturb the progress your practices. So therefore, the Buddha gives the teaching of the less greed. So if you are too greedy, become very greedy, so that is also the great disturbance for your practice. So in order to avoid to become greedy, so asking to have a very simple life in the practice, simple life in the retreat, with the satisfaction with what you are having, and avoid the greed. Okay, that's it. So I still remember that His Holiness Digu Khyentse Rinpoche, when he gives teaching, and he asked disciples and his students, do it practice today, and make sure you apply them what he said words, and tomorrow he will ask them, did you do that? Did you apply that? And many of them say no, but he's happy. Yes, when you tell the truth. You didn't say that, you're bluffing, say that, oh yes, I did this and that. And so now even I dreamed something like that, so which he is not so keen to listen such. But what I'm trying to tell you is, maybe while we are here, and myself and also all of you, maybe try a little bit the words that is given in this teaching. Yeah, maybe you can try a little bit. Of course, not much. Don't do too much. Maybe a little bit. If you do too much, then there's no sense of a holiday also, because you are here. The 30% you came here for vacation, but 30%, yeah, maybe 40%, and so rest of them you came here for the Dhamma practice. So therefore, if you do not apply this is not teaching from my mouth, the teaching from the text and teaching from the Kadampa. I'm here as a messenger, so giving you information, or in this text say this and say that. Yeah. So why don't we try? So that's it. So if we do little bit apply, so maybe who knows, you'll be enjoy after some days, and when you go back to home, so your family members there say, oh, you really made a change. Yeah? So they will be happy. Yes. That is also good indication. Yes, touch the wood. Maybe.
Yeah.